One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" Do you want to get well? That just is mind blowing. So profound. And friend, that's what I want to talk to you about today. Jesus's own red letter words in John chapter 5. The story's in verses 1 through 15, but this is particularly from verse 6. He asked him, "Do you want to get well?" Well, hello friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christine Trimpe. I am a certified Christian health and wellness coach. I specialize in coaching Christian women to lose weight, control their cravings, and refresh their relationship with God. So I'm so glad you're here. If you are just new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you're looking for a way to connect, I have some links below. You can take my short, quick quiz, fast and free quiz, What Hurdle is Blocking Your Weight Loss Goals? I would love to share what I have from my heart for you on that. But all right, so let's dive into this time that I like to call my Bible and beans. My Bible, my beans being coffee beans, and just like have a coffee chat, have a coffee connection. I love having coffee with you in the community. So I am so glad you're here, so that you can also think about this very profound question with me. Do you want to get well? Those are Jesus's words in red letters in John chapter 5. I most certainly had new eyes and new ears when I read this verse the other day, and I just have a passion about this question and wanted to come and share it with you. I actually nearly fell off my seat. I was so excited by this question. My heart rate started quickening, and I realized I had this new understanding of what Jesus was talking about or asking, because I have been through this journey, and this question immediately made me think of you and me, thinking of my past and how I reflect on my journey of health and wellness in healing my body, mind, and spirit. And friend, I have to tell you, I had no idea that I needed a healing in my mind, in my spirit. I knew as a morbidly obese woman who had suffered with obesity for going on 30 years that I needed physical healing in my body, but little did I know like the depths of the healing that I truly needed. But anyhow, getting back to this verse and why I'm making a video about this, I have a passion for helping women have like their own light bulb moment. And if I had read this verse in my morbid obesity, very far away from God, living far away from God, I was what I call myself a casual Christian. I grew up in a Christian home. I went to church off and on for many years, but I had a very casual relationship with God, because when I read stories like this, it never impacted my heart like it does today. So this question, I think, is so important for all of us to pause over, to ponder. I started pacing in my room and I started praying for you. Do you want to get well? If someone had asked me that just maybe a short 7 years ago, I would have been like, of course I want to get well. But, or do I want to get well? I'm thinking back in my history, and I honestly don't know how I would answer that. That's a great question. I wish somebody would have put that in front of me. Do you want to get well? If you know my story, you know that my healing journey began on the side of a mountain path when I was out of breath, couldn't climb another step, told my husband to go on without me. And I remember sitting there with the thoughts going through my head, crying out to God and just finally saying, God, I just want to feel better. Please help me feel better so I can do these things, so I can climb mountains with my family. Please. And it was at that moment, in hindsight, that I realized I was finally answering the question, do you want to get well? With a resounding yes. Yes, Lord, I am ready. Now, I didn't ask him to help me lose 100 pounds at that time because I had given up hope on that ever happening. Well, I had always had a tiny, tiny little bit of hope, but most of me was resigned to the fact that I would always be fat and with chronic health issues. So, but God knew, just like Jesus knew when he was in front of this crippled man who, by the way, was by this pool, it says for 38 years. God knew, of course. God knew that this crippled man was ready for a healing. God knew that I wanted to feel better, that I was ready for a healing. He knew how much I longed to feel better. The cripple at the well, he knew that he was ready for his healing moment. So here's something else we can think about in our own stories. Apply this to our own story, but do you think the cripple wanted to get well? I could write an entire book to answer this question, and maybe I will someday. But if I'm being honest, the short answer is I really don't have the answer. But what I do know is that I trust God and I trust his timing for everything. I could have a lot of regret and a lot of bitterness over the almost 30 years that I spent living miserably and unhealthy in my body, mind, and spirit. But I know absolutely that God knew the moment that I was ready to get well. And his timing is everything. And I do trust him with my whole heart, which you will hear me talk about all the time. So that day on the side of the mountain, my heart was ready to be guided through a physical, emotional, spiritual transformation. And I responded to the question, do you want to get well? And I finally said yes. And I'm sure that God was thinking, finally. So as I walked through this journey of healing with him, something incredible happened to me. An introvert, corporate accountant. God placed this tremendous passion in my heart, an urgency to share this good news with you because my heart has been transformed. I didn't even know it, that I needed a mind and spirit healing as well. And in the process, God put so much joy in my heart that there's just no way I can keep this a secret. And you'll hear me talk a lot on this channel, or if you hear me in a speaking event, you'll hear me talk a lot about the things I'm passionate about as far as our health and wellness goes. I have 5 pillars that I love to talk about: food, fasting, feelings, fitness, and most importantly, faith. Because there's no way to do this, friends, without our faith. I learned that we can find freedom and so much joy through faith. And that was the missing piece of my puzzle that prevented me from answering the question, do you want to get well, for 30 years. So again, think about the red letter words of Jesus today. Do you want to get well? Are you ready? Friend, if you are struggling with your weight, you've been told you have insulin resistance, you have other chronic diseases related to a standard American diet, which is full of sugar and refined carbohydrates, man, I would love to guide you along and show you the way through food, fasting, feelings, fitness, and faith in taking back control of your life and refreshing your relationship with Jesus through this journey as well. one that I guarantee you we will ditch the dietary dogma or just the diet word. We're going to ditch the diet word, and we're going to discover that we can actually have joy in the journey of dieting when we do it through faith. I know that God has a design and a plan for your life. This is why I want to come alongside. This is why I push women. This is why I'm a coach. Why I like to blow my whistle and say, hey, these are the tasks, these are the action tasks that you need to do. Trust God. I'm going to help show you the way as a coach for accountability, for community. To truly transform, we have to take action. And in my coaching, I like to call it transform action. Those are the action steps that I'm going to instruct you to take. They're going to be called transform action. But what I want you to do today is I just want you to pray. Seriously, stop right now and pray. Pray and ask the Lord to help you answer the question, do you want to get well? And if God impresses anything on your heart about regaining control of your health, to live longer and stronger for Him, I have a couple links below in the description on ways that we can connect. And I would love to continue, I'd love to get to know you and help you respond with an answer of yes to this question. Do you want to get well? And maybe you're here, just a little bit overweight. You need to lose 15 pounds or 115 pounds. I understand, in the community that I coach, we all understand where you are, where you've been, and where you long to be. And I promise you, God's word has a roadmap for you. And I'm so blessed to be able to coach you and other women like you through a faith-based and life-giving journey. When you're ready to say yes, you can look forward to no more hiding, no more dieting roller coasters, no more secret cravings, secret eating, no more craving all the wrong things, no more wasting your calling. And I have to leave you with the rest of the story from John 5. This man, the crippled man who walked and picked up his mat and he was healed, he ran into Jesus again, and Jesus looked at him and said, see, you are well. Stop sinning or something worse will happen to you. That's more food for thought. Take the time to read the whole passage about the story, the healing at the pool, John chapter 5, and then just sit and pray about it. See what God has to reveal to you through this story today. I was mind blown when I read that story again with a new perspective, knowing, the healing journey that I've been through, and also had the privilege to watch many, many other women, hundreds of women walk through the same thing too. So, do you want to get well? That's the question I leave with you today. Thanks for watching, and before you go, make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. I will be back with more food for thought next Friday.